welcome back to Village Vibes, the podcast that tells you about everything that's going on in Delray Beach. Today we're joined by Janai from our education office and Chris from sustainability. Today we are talking about the prestigious All-American City Award. Tell us a little bit about this award and our city's history with it.
Well, our city has a long history with the All-America City Award. We are three-time winners, with the latest being 2017, and we are looking forward to bringing home the fourth win. So we've had longstanding community engagement and commitment to this project, which is most important. And overall, it just showcases our ability to be resilient and to be connectors with the people that live here, as well as the work that's being done within our community.
And I know that every year they have different topics. What was the theme, let's say, for this year?
The theme for this year was strengthening environmental sustainability through inclusive community engagement. And so what they were looking for were communities who build the bridges in order to mitigate sustainability issues. So if we are seeing any places within our community that may not have prominent greening or may have issues with tree canopies or pollution and things of that nature, how are we working with the community in order to solve those issues? And so we highlighted three of our critical programs here, which includes three nonprofits, as well as the work within the city of Delray Beach, and how we work together to really solve those issues.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about the nonprofits that are involved.
So our first nonprofit that was featured in the application was Community Greening, who's had longstanding work here in the city of Delray Beach. And we talked about their youth arborist team, so how they're cultivating the next generation of sustainability champions. We also talked about their tree giveaways, their work with the urban orchards. And so that was really one of the key projects because of the historical significance to the neighborhood. And so what they do with that project is they've established a community garden, which is a pick and eat. And so the community is able to go, they're able to enjoy fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and they're able to pick and learn about it. And so a lot of the youth actively work on that project in order to do the plantings, and then the community benefits from it. The other nonprofits that were featured in the application was the Delray Beach Children's Garden, as well as Sandaway Discovery Center and the Delray Beach Historic Society. And all of those programs talked about the work that they do with our youth and how they are fostering the next generation of eco-consciousness. And they're doing amazing work. A lot of them, of course, when we talk about inclusive community engagement, a lot of them have programs that are tailored towards kids that are part of the low to moderate income level. And so how they are cultivating within them the next generation of sustainability. So it's very critical work in order to carry it forward, and how they are partnering with the school district of Palm Beach County, as well as other local agencies in order to do that work.
And I know that's really important to a lot of our residents. I know that green initiatives and the tree canopy is really important and significant to many of our residents, and also how it ties into the disparity of trees within different neighborhoods.
Yes, and that was an important piece. So when we talk about inclusive community engagement, it's looking at vulnerable populations that don't have access to those kinds of things. So the sustainability department did the study, and they looked at these communities that were suffering from a lack of tree canopies and what that does to their community in terms of the air quality and pollution and the property values within that community. And so once they located those areas, they decided to foster the tree planting and the tree canopy campaigns in order to increase the greenage within those communities.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the sustainability efforts that the city itself is undertaking.
Sure. I think you're referring to the Climate Action Plan development process. This was something that we thought was important, that we got the citizens of the city involved to really hear what their thoughts were. So about a year and a half ago, we started a survey that we developed. We split the climate action into 6 major categories, and then under each of those categories, we had a very inclusive list of potential strategies that could be, or potential issues, that are related to climate science. And so we put that survey out to about 22 locations for 8 months. Plus, we had it at the Cocoa Market, the Green Market a couple of times, a couple of the Friday concerts. It was on the Freebie app. We really tried to get it out to all the demographics of the city. We didn't want responses just from the climate choir. We really, to me, having unsupportive responses validated the survey. To me, we wanted to make sure that we really did truly hear from everybody, whether they were supportive or not supportive of what we were trying to do. So that whole process ended up with 350 responses, was more responses than any other municipality in the region has gotten before. Out of those responses in each category, we took the top responses, the things that people voted for the most, as this is something I would like to see the city addressing. So we used those to develop work groups. It consisted of all the different departments of the city and a lot of internal stakeholders, but also external stakeholders. Like for instance, with the transportation work group, we had PalmTran and Tri-Rail there. We had Freebie there. We had the DDA, the CRA. We had a multimodal transportation consultant, plus a whole bunch of different members of the city show up for that. It was online as well, set up with teams and whiteboards so that we could all share and anybody participating could add notes to the board. That one we started with nothing and ended up with 38 brand new notes at the end of it. So it was a really collaborative, really involved session. So we went through that process with all the different sections and then used those responses and to generate the potential strategies that we could use to address what the citizens told us was the most important things to address to them. So at this point, we're now working with the directors directly to identify, what are they already doing that's in this plan, and tying it back to our comprehensive plan. There's a lot of really great things that are already going on through the departments in the city that address some of these issues. And so we want to give credit where credit is due, but then also try to prioritize what are the next steps and what are the things that we can be doing better. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll be going back out with some more surveys and some more stakeholder engagement.
I know for the All-America application, civic engagement is key. But why is it so important for your office as well?
I look at sustainability as more of a criteria rather than, a yes or no, we have to do these things. The city has lots of operations, and cost is something you look at when you make any sort of operational decision or purchase. And, if we can get the city engaged enough that we're using sustainability as a criteria for making decisions rather than we have to, invent a whole brand new thing just to be sustainable. Just getting people involved on that level, it takes a village kind of a situation where the more activity you have and the more buy-in you have, the more successful some of these programs can really be.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about the strategies that our residents identified as being their priorities?
Sure. Particularly in the green infrastructure and water. It's recognized that I think that when you live on the coast, we see more flooding, than we used to, and neighborhoods that didn't used to flood are now. So people are concerned about the resilience of, how do we improve our stormwater systems to be able to handle a lot of those major events better, so that when we do have those king floods, that they're not actually damaging the homes. Also, how do we protect our freshwater drinking systems for, the sea level water rises, it puts a lot of pressure on that limestone barrier that's between saltwater and our freshwater that we're pulling for drinking. How do we prevent that saltwater intrusion into our drinking water is another really big one. Multimodal transportation was the single largest, most voted for thing in the entire survey. And that's a complicated one, but honestly, kind of a fun one to work with because it involves all the businesses downtown. Understanding how are our employees getting to work? What mode of transportation are they taking? Where are they coming from? And can we make that easier? Can we provide benefits? For taking the Tri-Rail and getting a connection from the Tri-Rail down to Atlantic Avenue. working on those kinds of things, safe bike lanes, finding those different corridors for that transportation, things like that. We're on the top of everybody's thoughts. Really, I think the biggest thing that we want to be working on is, like I said, we've got this climate action plan, but key to making that climate action plan successful is collaboration between the different departments of the city. And so, that's what a lot of the intent of taking what we have now directly to the directors to try to figure out, what are the exact strategies. I think building those relationships and figuring out, how we can all assist each other is paramount to our success. So I think that's going to be a big focus over the next 6 months to a year.
Okay, so what's next for us in this process?
Well, what's next is the delegation team. We are getting ready for our final presentation in Denver, Colorado, which takes place June 27th to the 29th. And there we'll be able to showcase all of the featured programs that were in the application and bring it to life. And we're really hoping to really show how Delray Beach has come together in order to form this connection of sustainability for their residents.
Thank you so much, and best of luck in Denver.